What's up, everybody? Today we're going to use an audio to record system sounds. A lot of people, from my research on the internet, have had a hard time figuring out how to do that, and there's a pretty sweet little Nougat that allows you to do that using Visual Studio. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that, and this is going to be in C sharp. If you go here, you can just choose your C sharp, and you're going to want a Windows Form app.NET framework, and we're going to go ahead and go to create. You guys can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call it, I'll just call it recorder. Um, I actually use this for a soundboard program that I'm designing, and it's really nice. It actually works really well. Actually pretty happy with it. So one of the first few things we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to our solution and right click on your solution. We're going to go to manage NuGet packages for solution. And we're going to go under browse. And under the search, we're going to just type in audio. And you don't have to hit return or anything, it'll find it. And you're going to want to go with this one that's right here that I have highlighted. And then you're going to want to skip over here to the project and just select your project, and it'll check the recorder for you. You're going to go to install. It's going to go through its process, and we're going to tell it OK. As you can see, it's importing all the an audio core files that it needs. So now that that's done, it's all installed, we can go ahead and close this out. We can close out our NuGet solution. We can just do a little quick save here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead into my tools. I'm going to pull out my toolbox, and I'm going to right click on this form real quick. And I'm not a big fan of having a white background on here, so I'm just going to tell this to go black on that. If you guys want to give your form a name or whatever, you can go down here to text, and we can just call it recorder, seeing how this is what it's called. And if you wanted to go in, say, I already have a ISO, so if I were to go in here and go to downloads, I have an ISO right here, and I can go ahead and put that in. And you know, it shows up on your form this way, but a proper way to do it if you want it to actually be a part of your program is to go to your form properties, and we're going to go down, and we are going to go ahead and go into browse. I'm going to go to my downloads where I have this ISO. I'm just going to add it to it, and you can see it pop up down here. So now that that's there, I'm just going to tell this thing to save, pop that out, and we're going to add a couple of buttons. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in. I'm going to make it kind of big because of I'm actually going to put a picture in the background. I'm going to hit Control C and then Control V and go ahead and make an extra copy of that. And then I'm going to go into here. If I close out my Solution Explorer, I just have my properties. Now, if your properties isn't here and you go to your button and you right click on it, you can just go down to the bottom and tell it properties, and it'll pop it up for you. The text I'm going to change so it just says record. I don't have to have that. I'm just going to add it there anyway. And my text, I'm going to go in here and just tell it to make it bold. Hit OK. And if we go up on our button here, you're going to see a background image. I'm going to go ahead and add that. And if I go to my desktop, I have a folder that I've specifically put stuff into. So I'm going to go ahead with a record one. And you can go on Google and just type in, you know, navigation buttons or whatever, a record button, and you know it'll pop up all these different things that you can select from and download. And now that I have that there, I'm going to go ahead and tell it to stretch. So now you can see it there. And I'm going to go over to button 2, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the text from this. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll up, and I am going to go into image. I'm going to import another one, which would be my stop button. Tell that OK. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the background image where it says tile, and I'm going to tell this to stretch as well. So now you can see those both sitting there, and I'm just going to add an image. You don't have to add an image to these. This is just to kind of give it a little bit of decoration so it doesn't look plain or whatever. And in here, I am going to go ahead and tell this picture box to stretch image. I'm going to choose an image, and I use this particular image for the sound creator program that I'm making right now. And it just kind of gives it a little, makes it look nice. And if you wanted to, you could go into this part here above this and put a label in and call it whatever you want. For now, I'm going to keep it basic. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this button, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to double click on button 2, just so I have these in here. You don't have to double click on your form in this, and we can go ahead and close out our toolbox. And now that we have this stuff, I actually have the code here, which I'm going to make it pretty simple for you guys. I'm just going to go in here and do some copying and pasting. In a little bit, we're going to clean up some of this code that we don't need. But I'm just going to, we want to go to this public partial class and go ahead and make a few spaces here. And the first part of the code that we are going to add will be right here. These are our global variables. Now we are going to go into here, and this is all the code for our record button right here. You'd probably think there would be a whole ton of code, but there's not. It's using this Naudio Nuget is actually really sweet, and it actually produces some really good sound. Your file path, you're going to want to change this part right here. And the rest of it is just what will happen when you go to play this is that you go to record and you hit stop. It's going to save this file to your desktop, and your file is going to be called this. Now, it doesn't have to say system record here. It can just be audio.wave or whatever you want to call it, .wave. It's going to save it as a wave file. But this part you're going to want to change. Just need to check my time real quick. Okay. So now that we have that done, but just remember, you're going to want to change this because you're obviously not Justin Ross. You're going to want this to go to whatever you have your name in under your path of your computer. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to move on to button 2. Just dump in this little bit of code, and I'm going to insert it in here. And now that we have all this in here, that's as simple as that is. I am going to try to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. I'm going to start from the bottom and just kind of go up so you can see all the code slowly, so you know what to put in. Make sure that you are, putting everything in properly and stuff, because there's little niches that can get you. So now that we have this, we're going to go ahead and go to Analyze and Code Cleanup. I'm going to go ahead and clean all this up. And now that we have that set to go, we're going to go ahead and fire up this program. And I'm going to go to the desktop after. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what we have going on. So we have our program here. And on my desktop, I have a audio file. It's a WAV file. I'm going to go ahead and click it, and then click record. As you can see, I have a file that's created right here, and I'm going to go ahead and click it. As you can see, the recording is really good. So that about sums it up. There's one little thing, if I have time to do this real quick, which I do. I'm going to show you how to make this form look a lot more crisp because it looks blurry when you look at all this stuff. There's a little trick that you can do to fix all that. We're going to go into Project and we're going to go under Add Component. And we're going to go down to Application Manifest File Windows Only and click that and then hit Add. And I'm going to show you a little trick. Okay, so you see these that are all blacked out. What we're going to do is go ahead and bring this back. I'm going to go here. You're only doing this to these bottom ones. You don't want to touch the top parts. You don't want to touch these. You want to leave these alone. And there's another little section that we're going to do this with. So now that we have that all set, everything looks good there. We're going to skip down to here, and you're going to see this little part right here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pop this out. And then that is it. We're going to save this, close this out, and we're going to start this back up. As you can see, this is much more crisp now. It's not blurry like it was before. And we'll go ahead, and I'm going to delete this file that it created. And I'm going to move this down here so you can actually see the file created up here as we get going. As you can see, this popped up again. And that's how you create a program so you can record soundboard sound coming from your system. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'm going to just go ahead and go down through this code again real quick so you can see it. And that wraps it up.